Paradoxically, while the pursuit of economic gain has been the excuse in our country to set aside environmental protection, we find ourselves in trouble in both economic and environmental spheres. The experience of our country underscores the imperative of sustainable development, that we must nurture the integrity of our natural patrimony as we strive to better the economic status of our people. Kailangan sabay yung ating trabaho sa pagbubuti ng ekonomiya at ang buhay ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino at ang pagprotekta sa ating kalikasan. Green Convergence for Safe Food, Healthy Environment, and Sustainable Economy is a broad coalition of civil society groups who envision multi-sectoral synergy and the formation of a critical mass of citizens who understand that the interconnectedness of food, health and environment, and the economy are the cornerstones of sustainable development. Green Convergence is composed of about 50 organizations, including the following networks: Alianza Tigil Mina, Network Opposed to GMOs, Anti-Laiban Campaign, Eco Waste Coalition, Philippine Federation for Environmental Concern, Environmental Education Network of the Philippines, Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation of the Association of Major Religious Superiors of the Philippines, Civil Society Counterpart Council for Sustainable Development, or PhilSA. Today, besides the SONA, we would like to introduce to you the People's Primaries. Nababasa na niyo siguro yun sa periodiko, no? This is a fundamental shift in the way we choose our leaders. Ito ay pagbabago sa pagpipili natin sa ating mga opisyales. While Green Convergence is not a political group, the situation of our country today mandates our involvement in governance, which is critical in the protection of our natural patrimony. Traditional politics offer to the people candidates which have been chosen by the top brass of their parties. The People's Primaries is asking all citizens to be active in nominating and choosing candidates. So, ang People's Primaries ay nananawagan na lahat tayo ay maging aktibo sa pagpili ng ating mga kandidato at mga leaders. Furthermore, the People's Primaries recognizes that traditional politicians have a vantage point far from those of the majority of Filipinos. Often, the vantage point focuses on self-interest, the next election, perpetuation of oneself in power, to the detriment of long-term genuine development for the majority of our people. Thus, the People's Primaries will include candidates who we feel or will field candidates or will involve candidates who we feel are committed to the nation's welfare. And therefore, we have in this forum our reform candidates to react to our state of nature address and the green agenda, and we will evaluate them accordingly. But you will hear more about the People's Primaries after in the later part of the program. So for now, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. Let's have a productive togetherness this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Galang, for setting the tone of this assembly today. We shall now get an introduction, first of all, to the issues that will be discussed today. He will himself tell us who are the ones who will discuss different aspects of the environmental crisis, and he will give an introduction to the whole state of nature in the Philippines. We will be tackling today the following issues: climate change, renewable energy, logging, mining, waste and toxics, safe and adequate food, clean air, environmental education, ecosystems management and governance, economic development, and framework reforms. So we shall now ask Mr. Rene Pineda, who is the president of COCAP, an organization of concerned citizens advocating Philippine environmental sustainability. Mr. Pineda, please.
Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga po uli sa ating lahat. When I was being introduced, Father and the Governor of Pampanga and Panili was smiling because of my surname. I assured him that I'm not related. And even if we were, I've already dissociated and disowned them since time immemorial. And I told him that I am more related to an ally and more credible personality who stranded a bit because I'm Rene David Pineda, by the way. Honored guests, three promising gentlemen from Pampanga, from Olongapo, and from the Philippines. Mr. President, good morning to you and welcome to our SONA. Friends, we are proud to present to you the State of the Nature Address, but we are equally sad to impart the real score, the real figures, the reality about the real state of our nature. The financial crisis, global warming, climate change, terrorist attacks, drug-related crimes. Daily, we are bombarded with news that are nerve-shattering. As the nations of the world scramble to secure their people from economic, social, and environmental shocks, it is distressing, to say the least, to read newspaper reports about actions of our government that seem simply illogical. In the past weeks, we hear of hundreds of thousands of hectares being leased to China, Korea, the United Kingdom, and Japan for the production of their own food and biofuel. Can you imagine? This when we already have intense competition among ourselves for land. Big landowners versus those begging for carver. Mining companies versus indigenous peoples and upland migrants. Urban developers versus informal settlers. Agricultural land versus industrial plants. Commercial malls, subdivisions, dump sites, and landfills. Such conflicts bring about unrest, violence, and crime. How is land ownership connected to the environment? Our historical experience shows that landlessness has pushed our people to the only resource they can have and exploit for free, if only as squatters. These are our forests and other ecosystems. Landlessness has forced migration to cities where they stay beside riverbanks or under bridges, hampering the flow of water and causing floods. History has shown that when there is gross inequality between the rich and the poor, the environment suffers because the rich can afford to purchase legal instruments with which to exploit more and more in mining and logging, while the poor cannot afford not to exploit, although illegally.